into my video. I'm Kaylin, and today, as you can see from the video, I'm going to be doing a step-by-step screen share on how to get your MC and US DOT number. So just a few things starting. You will need to have a few things to come together in order to get your MC number to make it active. First of all, it does cost $300 for a filing fee for your MC number. The DOT number is free. The MC number allows you to do interstate carrying, that's going from state to state. You do need a DOT number for both interstate carrying from state to state and intrastate carrying within the state carrying. Another thing is you will get your US DOT number immediately after you finish the application. However, it does take about a week and you'll get an email with your MC number, but that won't be active for at least 90 days, but there's a process within that. You will have 21 days. The FMCSA gives 21 days for people all over the United States to say whether or not you should have your MC number. After that 21-day period, you'll receive a letter letting you know your application is processing. You then have 90 days to get insurance. You'll need to have $1 million insurance and liability and $150 in cargo insurance. So these are a few things that you need, and you'll also need to have your BOC3. I talked about this in a previous video. What that is having a representative to take paperwork, legal paperwork in any state that you'll be operating in or passing through. So that's about it. We're now going to dive into the video, and you're going to see how to get your MC number step by step. Stay tuned. Pull up our web browser, which I'm using Google Chrome, and we're going to pull up our search engine, and I'm using Google. You can choose whatever web search browser you want to use and search engine you want to use. We're just going to go with this, and we're going to type in fcsa.dot.gov. And it's going to pull right up, and we're going to go to registration and then apply for a new US DOT number in our authority. And just to note, the first few pages are self-explanatory, and I will be going over them quickly for the sake of the video and for the sake of time. You're going to want to select whether you're a new or returning applicant and move straight along. This you're going to want to read on your own, but it's just telling you how to navigate. This is telling you what you're going to be needing. And this information is just telling you that you're going to be financially responsible for things. And the rest of the pages you're just wanting to read through. I'm just going to go through them quickly because the application is pretty lengthy. So I'm going to write down my applicant ID, because it's going to ask for it at the end, and you might want to do the same as well so that there's no issues. But you're going to go ahead and create you a memorable password. And make sure you're tabbing or just clicking into the next box, because sometimes it doesn't click to the next box for you. And you're also going to want to make sure that you're putting in the correct password and that the passwords match. Which, for whatever reason, my passwords are not matching right now. There we go. All right, and then you're going to just answer these security questions the way they apply to you. And I'm just putting in dummy information. But again, you want to use the information that applies to you. And so for this, you're going to select the contact type. If someone's doing the application for you, then they will be the applicant representative. If you're doing it yourself, you're going to be the company contact. And now we're just going to go in and enter information. And again, this is dummy information. If you're familiar with some of the songs out there, then you'll know where I'm getting these addresses and names from. And you'll want to select your country code, put your area code, and phone number. And I'm not typing anything, am I? Nope. That's what I'm telling you guys. Make sure you are clicking inside of the boxes because you'll be typing away and nothing is even in those boxes. And I want you to click on those arrows. Okay, so we're going to move on and it's going to access the business description. Does the applicant have a Duns and Bradstreet number? You're going to select yes or no. It doesn't affect you if you do not have one. Just a little tip, if you have been in business for a while, you have a Duns and Bradstreet number. You may not know that, but you have one. I can show you how to pull it up, or I can show you how to create your Duns and Bradstreet number. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to select no. And if you'd like to see a video, I can definitely do that. You're going to put the legal business name. And it's asking if you're doing business as. If you're not, you can just go on to the next page. Is the applicant's principal place of business address the same as the application's contact address? You'll select what applies to you. For the sake of this video, we're going to say yes. And you want to just verify the information and then select what applies. If it is the same, then you're going to select same as principal place of business. If not, you'll put in the correct address. Okay, now it's asking you for your EIN or social security number, and you can put either one. If you don't yet have your EIN, I also did a video on how to do that, but we can just go with the social. Is the applicant a unit of government? If you don't know what this means, you guys, you can just hover over the hyperlink and it'll give you a definition. And we're going to say no. And it asks you for the business structure, and you'll just select what your business structure is and the state that the business structure is located. Now it's asking the ownership and control. You'll select where the ownership and control is. You're going to select the citizen of the United States if that applies. It's asking for company contact. And you're just going to put the information that applies to it. And it lets you move on. If you have more, you can select more and enter in more information. And for those of you that are wondering where I'm getting this address from, there was a song by the Jackson Fives called 2300 Jackson Street. And the phone number that I got is Mike Jones back then. Just a little inside joke. So, like I said, all this information is just dummy information. And so now it says, will the applicant operate as intermodal equipment? And for this, again, you want to just hover over the hyperlink and it'll tell you what it is. But for the sake of the video, we're going to say no. Will the applicant transport property? You're going to select yes, obviously. Will the applicant receive compensation for the business of transporting the property belonging to others? You're going to select yes. What type of property will the applicant transport? Now, you're going to select all that apply, but for hazardous materials, you're going to need hazmat training and certification. Household goods typically are for those that are movers, if you're going to be moving people. This is exempt commodities, and then other hazardous freight. This is typically what you're going to be carrying. Will the applicant transport non-hazardous materials across state lines, otherwise known as interstate commerce? And I did talk about this a little in a previous video, interstate versus intrastate. And if you're going to be traveling state to state, you're going to want to say yes. Will the applicant transport their own property? You're going to say no, but you also want to put what applies to you. Will the applicant transport any passengers? You're going to select no. Will the applicant provide property or household goods HHG broker services? You're going to select no. Will the applicant provide freight forwarder services? You're going to select no. Will the applicant operate a cargo tank facility? Excuse me, you're going to say no. Will the applicant operate as a drive-away? No. Will the applicant operate as a tow-away? No. And now it's asking for the type of cargo that you're going to be carrying. And they already have general freight selected, but this is going to be very important when it comes to your cargo insurance for insurance purposes, so that you can get your quotes. If you're a refrigerated carrier, you're going to more than likely have fresh produce, meat, refrigerated foods, and beverages. But again, select all that applies to you and your company. And you're going to want to move on through. Please provide the number of non-commercial motor vehicles the applicant plans to operate. And you're going to select what applies to you. And what type of commercial motor vehicles will the applicant operate? Now, you're going to select which one applies to you, but those that do not apply, you do still have to fill it out. You want to mark those with zeros or whatever it is that applies. But you do have to mark in everything in order to move forward. Then it says, please provide the number of commercial motor vehicles the applicant will operate in Canada or Mexico. If you're not going to be operating in Canada or Mexico, simply select 0 or enter in 0. Please provide the number of commercial motor vehicles the applicant would operate solely in interstate commerce. Again, select what applies. And it asks a similar question, but in regards to intrastate. And again, what applies. Okay, and you're going to go on to the next. Okay. It said, what is the number of drivers who will operate as interstate within 100 air mile radius? You select what applies to you, and beyond 100 air mile radius. What is the number of drivers who will operate solely as intrastate? A similar question, within 100 air mile radius, beyond 100 air mile radius. What are the number of drivers with commercial driver's licenses? You want to make sure you select what applies to your company. What are the number of drivers who will operate in Canada or Mexico? If this does not apply, just simply enter in 0. Okay. So will any of this property get transported in vehicles that's 10,001 pounds? You're going to select yes. And here it tells you that you need to have liability that's $750,000. I know previously I said 1 million, and that's because the FMCSA requires $750,000. However, to work with brokers, they require $1 million policy. And this is asking for affiliation with others. And if you haven't done any business before, then you're going to select no. But please take the time to read everything out, you guys. And now it's just going to have you certify a few things and make sure you read through it thoroughly when you're certifying. Now, if you don't certify, you just have to exit out. You only have the option to certify or exit out. And be sure to read through all of this. Again, I can't express how important it is for you to read this information. And now it's going to have you create your portal. And it's asking, should the company official role be assigned to the company contact that you selected earlier? And you're going to select yes. Okay, no, it's not going to be that. There we go. And I did not write it down like that, so let me write it down, enter it in the right way. Is that user ID 2825725? Okay. Okay, it's not gonna let me go at this moment because I didn't put in the right user name for the user ID. I didn't write it down properly. But make sure you write it down properly so that you can advance to the next page. But what I will say is that since we can't get to the next page, I'm just going to tell you what you're going to get. You're going to get to, after you create your portal, you're going to get to the payment screen and you're going to fill out the payment. However, you're going to make your $300 payment. The final page will be your DOT number, and a week later you will receive your MC number, but it won't be active until you have your insurance and representatives in all operating states. So this is where I leave you. I hope you enjoyed this video and it was informative. That's all for now. Tune into my next video.